Summing up then, we talked about the temple at ancient Delphi, and there are remnants of it that you can see even today. And one of the slogans at that temple was that one should know oneself. That's what visitors were exhorted to do, among other things. This provides our first example of a people that are appealing to and apparently placing value on self-knowledge. Knowing oneself requires a certain amount of self-examination, but not in a sense that would come most naturally to contemporary readers, that is, knowing oneself in the ancient Greek tradition. Instead, self-examination, as understood by Socrates, requires investigating through debate and dialogue the contours of concepts that seem necessary for living a good life, including such things as knowledge, justice, virtue, piety, and the like. As we recall, Socrates heard from the oracle at Delphi that had pronounced that no one was wiser than he. He found this unbelievable and sought to disprove it, and he spent many years attempting to do just that, to prove that the oracle was wrong. He learns from his failure to do so that, unlike those who mistakenly and complacently think themselves to be knowledgeable, he at least is aware of his shortcomings, and that seems a basis for his having a slight edge in wisdom compared to his fellow Athenians. But he also provokes a lot of ire among others in the process, and he's, as a result, put on trial for a number of charges, defends himself and his actions by explaining that he was trying to disprove the oracle. He's nevertheless found guilty and sentenced to death. After that sentence, Socrates tells his audience that the unexamined life is not worth living, and we can interpret that as implying that most people live lives that are not worth living, or we may take it to mean that the unexamined life is not to be lived. The latter interpretation seems a more reasonable interpretation of what Socrates says, though it's still challenged by the pluralist position that we considered. And various characters from Plato's dialogues may be seen as failing to live examined lives in one way or another. Even contemporary slogans that you hear in popular music and so on seem to suggest a lack of examination. We introduced a distinction between propositional knowledge and ability knowledge. We talked about how propositional knowledge requires justified true belief. Is there an analog of something like that for the case of justification specifically? For ability knowledge, we'll come back to that question. But it seems like both types of knowledge are going to be relevant to our inquiry into self-understanding.